Guys, welcome to another episode of Pincade. Been gone for a little while. Haven't had much time to make videos just due to the fact of had a lot going on at work and was getting ready for Pinburgh and went to Pinburgh and I successfully uh, qualified for D and placed in position 16th of D division. So I was kind of happy. I was actually much higher up in the bracket. However, I got into a 200 position seed spot and was kind of a little bit over my head and got a bank of machines that I had no idea how to play. And I was kind of kicking myself in the ass for that because I could have installed all those machines and played them, and I just never got around to it. So I took zeros all the way across the board in that match, and it bounced me all the way down to pretty much the end of the roster, and I had 2 games to pretty much make it up before cutoffs happened. So the forces that be, I qualified in D and made it to the finals and kind of burnt myself out. It was the first time I played Pinburgh. I was not ready for the endurance. Lesson for you guys: if you've never played in Pinburgh, start getting used to playing like 10 hours straight without eating or sitting, because that's pretty much kind of what it's like. Um, That being said, I just want to give you guys an update as to why I was gone for so long. Um, we're gonna go through. I found, and this is where I'm coming back to the Pinburgh thing. When I came back from Pinburgh, I kind of realized that my front end is kind of in disarray as to finding machines easily. I have a giant list of machines, not only in my phone but in my head as well, of great machines that I got to play at Papa, either during the tournament or after the tournament. A lot of them are EMs, some of them solid states, and then some DMD modern machines that I've been missing from my collection. So I've been installing frantically, and I realized, I'm getting back up to that like 300 kind of count, area. And I'm like, I don't want to be scrolling, hours on end trying to find machines. I realize that there's a lot of machines that I don't play because I'm constantly scrolling through tons of machines trying to find them. So I went crazy for the last like day and a half figuring out um, how can I improve my sorting on Pinball X. And I got to the point of realizing that I needed custom groups with better I guess you could call it filter lists. And we're gonna go. That's pretty much what this tutorial is gonna be on, and it's not gonna be a long tutorial. Um, Mainly, what's gonna be long is me trying to resort my giant list of stuff to give you guys an example. Um, so I have a shortcut here to my Pinball X directory, and we're primarily going to be working in this folder right here, the databases folder. And if you see it here, um, I have a folder for every single system that I have. Okay, and this is kind of where I made a mistake when I set up my system. If you want an easy way of trying to get this process started, you could go into the list manager, and you could do like a new list or whatever, as long as you have the system database set up. That's all covered in my previous Pinball X tutorial. I'm not gonna rehash other stuff, right? So what you'd want to do now, or what I want to do is I want to create groups out of other lists, right? So we're gonna get back to this kind of, but basically what I'm doing now is I'm making new lists. So I had a visual pinball list, and then I made a new list for visual pinball EMs, which is blank because I don't really have any of those, right? But I also have a VP9 visual pinball 9 listing. There was something in there that I forgot to delete. I was testing something. Let me delete that really quick and come right back into this. I thought I had deleted all that stuff. No, sorry, I didn't. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm working with the XML files, but I'm also showing you how to kind of do it in the front end if you don't want to get too much into the XML files. However, if you have large databases like how I do, you're probably just going to want to make one list and group just so that you could get an XML generated the way it needs to be, and then go in there manually and edit it, because editing it through this thing is a nightmare. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. I used to have just a fizz mod, right? And I had all my fizz mod tables in here. What I now did was I said create a new list. It's a fizz, like I said, you have to have the system directory set up, right? It's a fizz mod table list. And then let's say I'll just name this like test list, right? You're gonna see it populating here. Boom, there it is. All right, and then you could add your games here. If you edit this, you'll see that it just says menu, open, menu, close. All right, we're gonna get to this stuff, and bear with me as I get this ball rolling here. I'm actually gonna delete this because I really don't want that list. We're gonna actually do a list for scratch for solid states on my VP9. And if I have any solid states in any of my other directories. So with that being deleted, it's still showing up in the list, but that's just because it hasn't reread my directories. The next thing I'm going to do is go to manage groups, right? So if I go out of this directory, you'll see a groups directory here. If I do manage groups and I do new, okay, and I do master group, and I do, all right, so these are the systems with the list. So that on the left side of the back, Jesus, I can't remember the name of the backslash character is the actual system, and to the right of the backslash is the actual list. So you have your system, and then you have your lists underneath that system. So if I had to draw it out, really quickly, it's something like this. Like you have your system, right? Which I call my system directories, Visual Pinball. So for example, I have a database here, and its name is Visual Pinball. This is this folder right here. That's that. Inside of that folder, I have lists. Okay, and I have like right now I have a Visual Pinball list that used to have everything that was Visual Pinball, but we're going to fix that, right? So now let's say I want to make an EM list. I want to make a solid state list. Okay, I want to make a modern list. I want to make a Stern table list, right? All those lists will be individual XML files inside of that system folder. Okay, now when you make a group, now let's say we do the same thing for FizzMod, right? I have a FizzMod directory. And my lists in it are going to be, I want to do them exactly the same. And I'll show you why I'm doing it exactly the same. But, all right, so what you end up doing is then merging them and creating what's called a group, right? And the group points to this Visual Pinball. Let's say this group is called, let me redo this. Let's say the group is called Solid State Machines. All right, and that one points to my Visual Pinball directory of my solid state list, and it points to my FizzMod directory of my solid state list. So what that ends up creating in your menu is you'll see something called solid state groups, solid state machines. And when you click that in the front end, it'll show you only the solid state machines that you told it that are solid state. And it doesn't matter if it's Fizmod or it's Visual Pinball or it's whatever. It will tell you the system that it is, but it will literally show you just solid state. So if I feel like playing a solid state machine, I no longer have to be like, okay, where is all my solid state machines in this giant listing? Let me just show you kind of what I'm going to just leave this open actually so that you can see us go through it. But let's just take a quick look at what my listing looks like right now. Right, so here's an EM that I want to play. Okay, here is a DMD modern game. Here's another DMD modern game. Oh, this is a solid state machine, right? Oh, here's another solid state machine. Oh, where's that old EM that I want to play? That's called, the one with the bowling stuff. Where is it? Oh, let me see. Let me just keep scrolling because I have no idea where it is, right? And I'm being facetious right now. I know exactly which machine I'm looking for, and it's this one right here. Right? But that was a lot of clicking to find what I knew was an EM, or I felt like playing an EM, but I couldn't remember where it was or what the name of it is. Right? So if I apologize, I should reopen this, right? So I made a group. If I hit launch, right, that EM's table right there is a group that I made. Okay, and each one of my systems, if you see right there, it says Visual Pinball DX9. Each one of my systems has an EM listing, and that group is calling each one of my systems EM listing and saying, show me everything you have. Every system that's been configured, show me your EM lists. All right, so this is DX9, this is a DX9, this is a DX9, but if you notice, they're all EMs, right? DX9, DX9. I'm trying to find a lot of my tables of DX9. But if you notice, look how quickly I found that table. As before, it was just in a giant, alphabetical mess of everything. All right, so here's one that's a solid state. I'm sorry, an EM, but it's for Fizmod. Right, but you never saw me change systems or anything. And this machine, if I call it, it's going to call Fizmod and load it. But then when I come back out of this machine, it'll show me every single thing that's an EM, and regardless of whatever system it is, it's going to load it. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Now, granted, you can do this somewhat. You might be saying, hey, well, when I do this now, I see somewhat of a filtering thing. That's this, which is default filters. I originally used to rely on that. I really don't like it, and I'll tell you why in a second. But let's just reload this really quick so you can see it again. And this still works with so I just got to go to all tables because it remembered that my filter that I had set was for EMs. Okay, so now I'm back into all tables. So if you look now, you'll see 70s tables, 80s tables, 90s tables, modern tables, Bally tables, Williams tables, Stern tables, Gottlieb tables, and then my custom group. I don't want all these other things, right? I just want EMs, solid states, modern tables, and then I might actually create, ones for Williams tables, Bally's tables, if I feel like getting that granular with it. I'm not sure. But right now, this stuff is annoying because it requires that you have the year for the table stored someplace. I'll show you what I mean. I'm actually going to turn that feature off really quick before I forget. I mean, you guys can use it. There's nothing necessarily wrong with it. It just creates more options on my front end than I really want. And if I go into edit, oh, sorry, not that table, not that one. Let's go into DX9. Here's my EM list. I'm trying to figure out. If you see right here, it says year. That's usually how it figures it out. But for some reason, I'm not really understanding how it was getting years for certain things because I didn't have the year. Okay, so this guy did have the year in there. At one point, I was doing that. I was literally going back and looking up each one of my, because I rename all my things because I don't use the import feature or anything like that. So I would just rename it to Fast Draw, for example, and get rid of the Fast Draw Gottlieb 1975 made on a Tuesday at 11:15 p.m. I don't need this giant long name. I just want it to be quick and easy reference. So I end up going back and changing and putting in all the years, and it was just a nightmare project. And I still didn't feel like the sorting was that great because, like I said, let's say you have like a solid state and an EM that was made in the same year. Well, now they come up together because they were in the 80s, let's say. I'm just making up something, kind of artificial. I don't know if they made EMs and solid states in the same year, but I'm saying that filtering mechanism for me is not granular enough. Just because I could have something, like the 80s is kind of it's an entire decade, right? I'm sure towards the end of the 80s, DMDs were probably coming out, right? And in the early 80s, solid states were big. So I might have this mishmash of tables, right? I don't really want that. So let's go ahead and start doing this. I said I would not change that on you guys. So when I created this master group, right, it created this XML file. And it's not really pointing to anything because I never assigned it any lists, right? So just for fun, here I'll take this list and I'm just randomly selecting lists, right? And I close it, whatever, and this file should be updated now. So I have the code here, right? If you're not familiar with the XML format that you need for this stuff, you can generate a file like that, get the code like syntax down, and then start editing it by hand. I know it sounds kind of a pain in the ass, but believe me, when you see me start wiping tables out of the list, well, this is the way I'm doing it for mine. But if I keep clicking delete, every time I delete an entry in the XML list, it sends me all the way back to the top in the GUI. All right, so I'm just gonna delete this because I really don't need that right now. And we already have the EMs done. There's a FizzMod EM. There's a regular Visual Pinball EM. The Visual Pinball 10 I'm not going to really focus on right now. So what I want to do now is I want to do a solid state one, right? So what I'm doing is I'm copying my actual XML that has all my tables, and then I'm just pasting it, and then I'm renaming it to what I want to name it, right? So this one is going to be VP solid states .xml. Right, so the coding is already there, my tables are already there. All I gotta do is just go through them and say, okay, what is so what you're gonna see me do is I'm just gonna grab a bunch of these, right? Because I know probably all these are not a solid state. I believe Hook is not a solid. I believe Hook is a DMD, but I'm just gonna leave it for now. Alright, so Caribbean. So as you can see, this is much quicker for me than to keep going, click, delete, go to the top, click, find where I was, click, delete, go to the top, right? So I did that, right? I forgot to make a database for this, so I'm going to copy this. And I apologize for going backwards like this. I know it gets confusing when I do that, but I'm trying to go quick and sometimes I miss a step. So solid state, let's just call it solid state. Alright, so like I said, all I'm doing is copying these files. I'm just going to change the name here so it shows up correctly in the front end. And I'm just renaming these files because that's the ones that I'm calling for the group. Okay, so I need one more really quick, and that's going to be for Visual Pinball itself. Yeah, the regular VP9.1 or whatever it is. So like I said, here's my database, my group database file. I named it solid state. I changed the name here in solid state, and now I'm pointing to the 3 lists that I have for my 3 versions that I'm running. And these don't necessarily exist right now because I still have to make some of them. So I'm just going to save that. So now we're going to go to FizMod. I'm going to copy the existing database that I had. Like I said, I'm just going to rename this to exactly what I had in the pointer record, right? And I'm doing the same thing I did in the last file, which is I'm just getting rid of anything that's not a solid state machine. Vira might be a solid state. You gotta bear with me, this does take some time, and I don't always remember every single game, but I try my best. So what I'll do is the ones that I'm not sure of, I'll just leave them there, and then I'll scroll through the wheel and look at what they look like. I'm trying to do smaller lists. I'm trying to stay away from my VP9 list because that is a beast. Okay, so I have my original database, my new EM list, and my new solid state list. And in regular Visual Pinball, I have my master database list. I have my new EM list, and I have my new solid state list. This file you could just ignore. That's just them putting files there. And the X9, I have not done the solid state list. Right, here's my primary directory. Here's my EMs. So let's load this really quick, and you'll see the change already. So like I said, in the last state I left it in was, show only certain tables. So now I'm in all tables. Everything is just alphabetical. Now you see right there, solid state tables. You could ignore that one for now. I don't know why that's, that might be coming up because they made that somewhere else. We'll fix that in a second though. I should only have these two. So if I go into solid state tables, I only have a couple of tables now. I don't think teed off is a solid state. I'm just going to load it really quick and see what my DMD looks like. Because the backlash, I know you can't see my backlash, but yeah, that is not a... Okay, so that guy's got to go. Teed off has got to get off that list. So Elvira is definitely one. Jurassic Park is not. Mystery Castle. I've only played this a couple of times. It was actually pretty fun. I just, like I said, it's still trying to get everything set up exactly. I get really meticulous with this stuff, and I just end up doing more of this stuff than actually playing sometimes. So Mystery Castle's got to go as well. But as you can see, there's only really like 3 tables in this list. Now, I just want to fix whatever that other problem is. So Elvira was good, Jurassic Park was not, Mystery Castle was not, Teed Off was not. So I literally have one machine that, out of that list that was a solid state. So I'll just save that. I'm trying to figure out where was that other list that it was finding. The reason why it came up is because I spelt the name wrong. So it didn't see it as part of the group, but yet another list, if that makes sense. So if you look at this solid state, I named it VP solid state, but when I created the file, I created VP dash solid states plural, so it came up as another list. So there you go. That was what that problem was. So that's pretty much it. I mean, if you want to stop the video right now, you're at a good state. You should hopefully be at a good state to do this. However, I'm going to keep going right now and just let you see me do this monster of a thing right here, which is very similar to what we just did. It's just I was trying to avoid doing this one on the video. But I'm going to let this run for a little bit. Just so you can see how well this sorting actually works. Okay. Try and go through this as quickly as possible, but this listing has about like probably about 180 tables in it. Oh, that is definitely, Big Guns is definitely a solid state. I remember that guy. Black Hole is definitely Black Knight 2000. And after you're done doing this stuff and sorting, if you have to fix your database like how I did, you could then go back to using the front end to add new tables. Just make sure you add them according to whatever your filtering scheme is. You could also have duplicates. You don't have to say, oh, this table can only exist, in this one list. You could have the same table over and over and over again in every list you create. Okay, so I'm gonna just save it right here, and I'm just gonna load it, and then I'm gonna cut the video at this point because, like I said, this is gonna take me like an hour to do. But I wanted you guys to see, and I did it again, didn't I? I named that file wrong. So if you see it come up not in the listing like that, then you know you probably named it wrong. Yeah, I named it VP9 solid state. Okay. It's not a big deal, all right? Just gotta rename this file. And now that should be gone. There you go. There's only a solid state tables. And if I go in here, you're going to start seeing those DX9 tables starting to populate. However, I have tons of DMD tables in here that are going to also populate because I haven't gotten rid of all the lists. Like, yeah, that one's a solid state. This guy right here is not a solid state. As you can see, the table count changes. So there's 100 right now. There's 136 tables in this filter. If you go to all tables, you'll see the number change again. That's 205. 205 is the total amount of tables I have. Next video I make, you'll probably see like a number like 300. But anyway, I'm gonna cut the video there. I hope that was clear. I know I kind of jumped around a little bit because I just literally understood how to do this like 15 minutes ago. As you can see, I'm still in the process of doing this. So I hope that helps you. I mean, you guys could do it however you want. I'm probably going to make, like I said, for now, I'm just going to do EM, solid state, and modern tables, and then I'm probably going to break it down by manufacturer. I'm not going to break it down by year. I might not even break it down by manufacturers. I might actually put a group that says, top favorites or something, or favorite machines or whatever, or another group that's like maybe common Papa tournament tables. Like I said, the group and the lists that you make can be endless, but the reason why I did the group rather than just making lists is because when you make a list, it's specific to that system. When you make a group, it's not specific to a system. That's the benefit of the groups, all right? Because originally I was trying to make EMs, and I was like, oh well, I have an EM list for Visual Pinball 9. I have an EM list for Visual Pinball 99. I have an EM list for FizzMod. Well, I don't want 3 lists per system that I install on my front end because number one, I'm not going to be able to figure out which one is what, and I don't want to be trying to remember which table is in what list, right? So then I found the groups, which allows you to take those 3 lists, make them into one list or one group, however you want to look at it, and then you don't have to worry about, if this EM table is from FizzMod, Visual Pinball 9, Visual Pinball 99. It only cares about whatever the filter was that you created. In this case, it's EMs. So I hope you find the benefit to that. I hope it was clear. If anything, shoot me a comment asking questions. I will try and answer your questions as best as possible and quickly as possible. Anyway, good luck, guys. Let me know.